Florida State's defense needs an infusion of talent despite massive losses, and it's a culture problem that's leading to the exodus.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day right here on the nation's #1 podcasting network, Locked On. We're going to be discussing some questions about what Florida State can do to turn this around. They did get CJ Richard. We'll talk about him in a minute, but they still have several problems to fix with all the transfer portal mess on the defensive side of the football. The number one guy on my list, I got 10 players I'm going to talk about. The number one guy that's transferring that shows the culture problem at Florida State will surprise you. But unfortunately, it's a player at a key position and a guy that just wanted to be at Florida State, and he still hit the portal. We'll talk about that a little later as well. But overall, I just want to go over the top 10 players from 10 to 1. You can rank them however you want. But again, this isn't about just production or talent. It's about culture. It's about fit. Guys that wanted to be at Florida State and the positions they play, all of that plays a factor in how I personally rank this. Again, culture, fit, where they wanted to be out of high school. Is Florida State still losing those guys? Let's get started with it. Number one on my list here, Earl Little Jr. This is somebody that didn't come to Florida State out of high school, but it was an elite player. Sertan got him to transfer from Bama to come down. He's been pretty good for Florida State. Not great, but pretty good. It sucks to see him leave because he would have been a starter again next year. He's going to Ohio State. That's number 10. Number 9, Ashwin Barker. I don't put him as high as other people would because he still could end up in the NFL. He still could. I'm not as concerned about it because he has the length and the athleticism. By all means, go be great. It would be fantastic to have him back in Tallahassee. I'm not dismissing that at all, but I thought he was going to leave anyway. The one thing that bothers me is that the transfer portal is an option. I don't know what he's asking, but obviously it's more than FSU wants. Thus, he has hit the portal. Jaden Parrish, you're probably like, what? Who? Very talented linebacker that I saw in high school from South Florida. They don't have many good young linebackers, and he didn't get a chance to play much. Losing a guy like him that had offers galore out of high school, somebody that's a thumper, somebody that plays a spot Florida State is thin at, that's unfortunate. He has a couple of years of eligibility. No, 3 years of eligibility remaining. Good luck to him. Omar Graham Jr., another linebacker, talented player. They need veteran leadership. He had his moments at Florida State. It would have been nice to have him back. And the exact same thing with Justin Cryer. I have 1-7, 1-6. Which one you want to put? Either way, really don't care. That's up to you. Same deal. Both can play inside linebacker. Good players. Not great. They're not very good in coverage. That's the biggest thing. They're both leaving, though. There's hardly anything left at linebacker. It's a problem. All right, now for the top 5, and this is where it gets dicey. There's going to be a common theme for the final 5 players. Very young. In addition to culture and fit, it's eligibility. In addition to culture, fit, and like wanting to go to FSU and having a bevy of offers, it's eligibility. If you can build through the high school ranks, it is still the safest way to make deep runs in the playoffs. Indiana is the absolute unequivocal 1 in a billion in college hoops or football. Throw them to the side. Everybody else pretty much in football especially, it's predominantly built through the high school ranks. There have been very few exceptions. It would have been nice for these guys. So Shamar Arnaud ends up starting late in the year for the Noles. Very talented kid out of Carrollton, Georgia, 6'2 plus. When he was thrust in the lineup, I'm like, oh boy, baptism by fire right here. Good luck. He wasn't too bad. As a true freshman, he wasn't a guy that was getting first team reps. And all of a sudden, boom, here you go, son. Just go ahead and jump on out there. And he was a solid player. Imagine what Shamar Arnaud would do if he got all the number 1 reps all the way through spring ball, summer workouts, fall camp. In addition to the winter off-season conditioning and then the spring training, all the off-season strength and conditioning training, this is a guy that could have been a possible All-American next year. Not many freshmen are any good at all, and I mean at all. And he comes in and he plays. He's a solid player. That one hurts. Amari Williams, South Florida player, tight end, DN, whatever you want. Super athlete, super kid off the field, track athlete in high school, everything you want. He could have played H-back, fullback, tight end, defensive end, linebacker, whatever. He was the one pure pass rusher that Florida State had, and he's gone to the portal. Daryl Desir, this one won't surprise anybody. Really good effort. Didn't have quite the stats his brother did, so I put him behind him. But Daryl is the kind of guy that I just think of when I look back at any of the great teams from like the 2012 to 14 run, looking at the run they had all the way through the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. They had a lot of guys that I would call nuts and bolts, like the main piece to the engine. He may not be, but he was the next component, never complained, just did what he did, got it done. Losing him sucks. His brother, same thing, but with even more production. I got him number 2. Both these kids, again, they were a little bit underrated compared to what they ended up doing. They got weight offer from Florida State, both of them. The Twins didn't get like ardently recruited, like with an offer they could commit like January of their junior year. It was later in the process, and they took it, and obviously they hit. But they embody daily work. They embody wanting to be at Florida State. They said all the right things. Obviously, this is a contract deal, and LSU, Ohio State schools that are willing to probably spend more are involved. I'll be curious to see if Florida State can get them in or out of the portal even a little bit. Like, where's this going? I don't know. Like, are they in, are they out? Like, we hear different things. It's going back and forth. But my guess is they would like to be in Florida State, but if the money is vastly different somewhere else, and I don't know the total, I expect them to play elsewhere. It is what it is in today's society, but it's a culture thing, though. Like I kept saying that these are guys that have openly talked about enjoying being at Florida State, and they're still in the portal. That's not good. But my number one pick for going to the portal, and this is something that just drives me bananas, is Kevin Wynn, and here's why. Position, nose guard, like there just aren't any nose guards really. He's 330 pounds and can move. Georgia wanted him. Tennessee, Auburn, anybody he wanted to go to, he could have signed without a high school. Anybody. He was literally pulled out of the All-American Bowl over in San Antonio last year, practice like the reps, because he was destroying the offense's plays when they did team period. They pulled him out because they couldn't run their plays. That's how dominant he was. Unfortunately, he got banged up in fall camp and didn't play a ton this year. But not only has he got a bright future in probably a 3-and-out guy, he could have went to any school in the country. He came to Florida State from one of those small schools in Georgia, the Bowden, and everybody has always taken advantage of at Florida State, despite UGA wanting him and all these other schools that are far more successful after Florida State went 2-10. Got to give the Noles credit for signing him out of high school. He's the kind of culture fit you need, though. Dominant defensive lineman, nose guard. They could play 1 tech or 0 tech, 3 tech, any of that. Wanted to be at Florida State. Yes, sir, no, sir guy. All those things. And now he's in the portal. Like he was the straw that broke the camel's back. This is the kid you can't replace. Not just positionally, but culturally. Those Georgia kids that Florida State has stolen for 50 years. They're the players that have always gotten Florida State over the top. You're going to get Florida players. You're a major state institution inside the state of Florida. Stealing kids out of Georgia, kids that embody, again, the nuts and bolts of the program, they're not easy to get. Beating UGA for a kid in their backyard, that's not easy. Watching him walk out the door, a 0 tech that weighs 330 and can move, that's not easy to accept. This is a problem. This is a big problem. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about what they have to do to try to change this a little bit, because even though like I'm going to do an offensive show, by the way, and they're doing well on the offensive side. It's bizarre. Like defense, I'm very concerned about. Offense, pretty good. But if you don't stop anybody from scoring, what's the point? That is next on Locked on Seminoles. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The college football playoff championship is here. FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get on the action with everyday game day playoff opportunities, because right now every college football playoff game is game day. FanDuel offers a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Whoever goes in, checks it out, there's going to be an opportunity for you no matter what you do. So if you ride with Indiana, who's a 7.5 point favorite over the Canes, that's cool. If you want to take the 7.5, or you want to go with quarters, or if you want to go with prop bets or anything else, it's all cool with FanDuel. All you have to do is apply the profit boost and get extra savings when you win. FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get on the action all playoff long. Visit FanDuel.com to get your playoff profit boost on every single game day. We are also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing quite like the college football season. We're down to one game, tailgates, the stadiums, and everything else that's going on. It's awesome. All the energy, stands, and everything else. It has been fantastic. And that's why game day is awesome for you, the fans, because you get to go to the games no matter when they are, have fun, and actually get tickets that aren't overpriced without all the surprises at the end when you go to checkout. I've bought not one, but 2 different sets of tickets in the last month or so with Game Time. In and out in 5 minutes both times. You type in the team or the event you want to go to. You click on the seat. You can see your view right there from your phone. And again, the price of your ticket is not going to be a shock for you at the checkout. It's the same up front. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. If you want to take your game to the next level, make sure you check out the Everydayer Club down in the description below for here on Locked On Seminoles. Take your downloads for free on your audio wherever you go, no ads. $5 a month or $50 for a year. And there is also a Discord. Check it out in the description below. So we've gotten all these questions that I have in my mind, like, why is it that Florida State is getting some pretty good offensive players? Got a couple tackles. Again, I'm going to do defense today, going to do offense later. I'm not going to dive into a secondary topic, but why is it the defense is losing so many players compared to the offense? I'm just openly curious. Like, what is their thought process there? Is it just coincidence? I have a hard time believing that, but what's going on? Is this related to Patrick Surtain's dismissal? Is it a disagreement with the coaching staff on just the value and the NIL is not working out? What is it? Because the defense is bleeding right now, like profusely. I don't understand. It's kind of odd because I was looking at the list, going through it for the second time today, right before this show. And I'm like, yeah, that guy's pretty good player. Like the O-line signings in particular, they're ahead of most schools. They've got a top 5 O-line group for the portal, in my opinion, regardless of program, because they've gotten experience, they've gotten balance, they got guys they needed at certain spots like Joyner, a couple of tackles, etc. They should be in a pretty good spot. And that's the hardest spot to get is O-line. There's no doubt. Offensive line is a major problem. But why so many guys departing on defense? Like, they have over 30 players outgoing. It's a few of them are walk-ons, but like 35 scholarship. And if you go through the list, and you can count it any which way an individual desires. But I would say, just top of my head, if you said, okay, who are the top 15 departures in terms of players that were impactful or will be next year, I would guess at least 9, if not 10 of them are on defense. Why is that? That's my biggest question. Number 2, with all of this, is there something that they're planning to do with some of this NIL because they're going to switch it up some? You're not going to convince me anything on the defensive linemen, by the way. That's the Ser Twins, Wynn, and Williams. Those 4, that is a disaster in any way, because no matter what defense you run, D lineman or D lineman. But is there something I don't know about on the back end, like the linebacker and safety and quarters? They're going to do something different. They're going to get a bunch of guys. I'm not sure there either, but that's literally like concerning, because we're getting late in the game. And I'm going to talk about CJ Richard here in just a second. I'm going to share my screen for those of you on YouTube, and I'll explain it for those of you who are not. But I'm really concerned about the defense. Well, I think the offense could be pretty decent next year. I think they'll be one of the better teams at scoring points in college football again. So my last question for the defense, can they at least get one guy that comes in on the defensive line, specifically the D line, that's a dude. Like, I'm relegating this down to that, and it's not going to be enough. We can see a train wreck there on the defensive line, but can we get at least one dude up front that teams have to scheme against directly from the portal? Preferably somebody with multiple years of eligibility, but I digress. It would be nice. So now, with that being stated, I want to discuss their newest member of Florida State, and he's actually a pretty good player. Again, this is just my opinion. Take it for whatever it's worth. But C.J. Richard Jr. comes over from Illinois State, and he's got the stats to back it up. Look at Indiana for teams that have figured out FCS and G6 really well, but across the board, everything is kind of what you're looking for here. 529 snaps last year. Coverage grade was 76. And if you go through his numbers, there were a few games he didn't play great, like North Dakota State. He could have been better. But like overall, the Montana State game, he was pretty solid, but not unbelievable. In general, finding corners, though, that can play at the size that he's at, or safety, either one. We'll see how Florida State runs their defense next year and who plays where. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys moved around. It is what it is. Like not corner, safety. He played free safety and strong safety, I'm sure, both quite a bit, because there really isn't any difference in college football anymore, because it's more field side and playing to the boundary. But I'm guessing that they could at least look at him based on his grades, his size, and everything. They wanted to, and they just wanted to play straight down. They could probably play him at corner, which isn't a bad idea. But he had 9 stops. He had several different plays near the line of scrimmage. He had a total of over 50 tackles. Like, he's a good player. Is this the beginning of the run? I'm bringing this up because, again, I want to see a defensive lineman that's a dude in the portal as well. That's a key to me. If they don't find that, it's probably not going to matter, because you can only cover for so long. And again, wouldn't be shocked if Richard played corner in some capacity, depending on how much zone they do. But they do have a need at safety as well. So we'll see how they use him, or if he's going to be a guy that plays combo. But I like the pickup. But to that end, I'm still back to that original question. What is going on with Florida State as it regards to the defensive losses, and why so many more than the offense that are really key? I don't get it. Something to think about. And as a reminder for those of you watching this, I'm doing this show on Sunday afternoon, just full disclosure. It's January 11th. It's going to be a live show. I'm not sure exactly when, probably 10 o'clock tonight. Going to discuss what fans kind of vent, let their thoughts be known, what they think about the newest additions, guys that are leaving, Kevin Wynn, all that. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm missing stuff. I'm always in the car when something breaks, of course. But we'll get to that, and then by that time, there may be more news. Sunday evening, it's very possible. A lot of visits wrapping up around the country. Guys at Florida State wanted visiting other places. We'll talk about it later on Locked On Seminoles. Matter of fact, let's go at 10 o'clock tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, live show. For those of you that can't watch it, I will upload it for Monday morning early, 3 a.m. audio and 5 a.m. on YouTube. Live show, 10 p.m. Eastern, Locked On Seminoles. All things portal right here on your favorite Florida State channel, Locked On Seminoles.